What's up guys? Today's episode I'm going to show you what you can buy at Harbor Freight with $1,000. So let's get started. Yo! What is up guys? Nick Nakai here, Let's Drift Media. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If it's your first time here, please hit that subscribe button down below. So, hope you guys make it to the end of this video. Got a really big announcement to make and I don't think you're gonna want to miss it. But anyways, I just got back from Harbor Freight and dropped $1,000. I know it sounds like a lot maybe, but honestly $1,000 on tools is not that much, especially considering all the stuff that I got at a really great price and actually really nice tools. So I know you guys have probably heard me talking about what tools to buy. Should I buy Snap-on? Should I buy Harbor Freight? And I always tell people, especially starting off, go to Harbor Freight. Just get the necessities, stuff you think you're gonna need. If you're not sure, maybe just buy it there because it's cheap versus dropping like a couple $100 on one tool off Snap-on. So also I have a lot of people that ask me like, hey Nick, like what tool should I get when starting off? Or what tool should I get when I want to become a loop tech? What tool should I get when I don't have anything and I just want to start building my tool collection? Like what tools do you recommend? So this video is going to be all about tools that I recommend when starting off as a young tech. Whether you're working in the backyard or about to start your first job at a dealership as a loop tech, or even if you're going to an independent shop, I feel you can do 80 to 90% of most jobs with these tools that I picked up today at Harbor Freight. So you guys know me too, I've been talking about the Icon line and how I think they're really badass tools, which they are. They look badass. Pretty excited to use these actually. The design looks very similar to Snap-on, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, they kind of are copying them, but it feels like you're getting a Snap-on at a fraction of the price. So I think that's really badass that Harbor Freight's stepping up their game and trying to put out more quality tools at an affordable price. Because a lot of tools don't make sense to go spending these hundreds of dollars on when you can get a cheaper version that'll do the job just fine. Because the tools don't make the technician, as I always say. So these tools are basically the tools that I, over the years, kind of figured that are an essential and you're gonna need them. More than likely use them often. I probably have more tools here than when I started off working on cars. And with like probably 80%, probably less, like probably 60% of these tools that I have here, I was able to disassemble my first 240, my S13, all the way down to the ground as a shell, transfer all the parts, including motor, trans, full interior, everything in, with basically the tools that I have here. And really, when I did that swap, I brought all my tools home from work and they all fit in this tool bag. And I was able to disassemble the whole car and back. So just a little reminder that you don't need a million tools to work on cars. So without further ado, let's get started checking out the tools we picked up. Alright, so really quick, I'm going to try a little bit different camera style for you guys. Let me know how you guys like it, but I'm just going to kind of go down through all the tools I got and show you guys outside, give a little talk about it, why I bought it, and why I think you should buy it. So let's get started with the first and most important tool, a 3/8 ratchet. Highly recommend this. Pretty sure anyone who works on cars has one of these, or if not 15 of these, because there's so many variations. But this is the Icon low profile 90-tooth 3/8 drive. This thing looks pretty bitchin'. 9 7/16 inch long, kind of a standard ratchet, 3/8 ratchet size. This is a 90 tooth, so that's actually really good. The higher the tooth count means the less clicks per turn that you have to move, so that's really helpful when you're in tight corners because you don't want to be turning it like a quarter of an angle of with 45 degrees of an angle just so you can get one ratchet turn on the nut. So a little bit of a better explanation. Right here we have a 76 tooth Cornwell 1/2 inch ratchet. As you can see, you have to turn it pretty far to get a click. So that's pretty inconvenient when you're in a tight spot as compared to this. Well, this is a 3/8 ratchet, of course, but this has a lot more teeth in that. You can see it's finer, so that's less movement of the ratchet in order to start turning. So that's our 92 3/8 ratchet. Next tool we have is the 90 tooth 1/2 inch drive ratchet. This thing is going to be very used anytime you're dealing with bigger bolts, possibly lug nuts or any kind of chassis bolts, stuff like that. Anytime you just need more leverage, you're going to want to whip out the big boy. This one is almost 18 inches long. You can see the difference. So that'll make a big difference. The longer it is, the easier it is to apply torque. So 1/2 inch ratchet, definitely a necessity. Although the tooth count on this isn't, I feel like, as important, because usually if you're using a 1/2 inch, you have plenty of space, so the amount of teeth isn't that too big of a deal. When I used this blue Cornwell one for a very long time, even though it only has 76 teeth, and it worked just fine. So next up, to go with the ratchets, we have our 3/8 chrome sockets. This is the deep set. I also bought the 3/8 shallow set. So these are the same sizes, size 8 through 19. So you can see a little close-up. That's pretty standard socket size set and pretty common, at least for 3/8 drive. You're not really going to need bigger than a 19. If you are, you will be going to the 1/2 inch because usually those bolts are going to be a lot bigger and require more torque. So 8 through 19 is pretty typical. I recommend buying the shallow and the deep because sometimes the bolt will stick out too far and you're going to need the deep just to reach the nut or whatever you're trying to access. Sometimes you don't have that much room. That's where the 3/8 come into play. So 3/8, deep and shallow, 8 through 19. These boxes and sockets themselves look very identical to Snap-on's design. I really should have brought some of my Snap-on sockets home just so you guys can see, but this looks like a pretty bitchin' set to me. So to go along with our 1/2 inch ratchet, we have 1/2 inch sockets. Metric, of course. This socket set came with 10 through 27. And when it's for 1/2 inch, kind of from my experience, you're never really going to use anything lower than like a 17. Because those bolts, you shouldn't really need to be 1/2 inching them off. But this set just came with all the way from 10 to 27. So that's a pretty good set. I think it's a good assortment of them. Like I said, you're mainly going to use the bigger ones. And as you guys can see, these are black. When they're black, that means they're impact. So it's made for like impact air guns or impact electric guns, and they're supposed to withstand the impact and have a less chance of cracking versus the chrome sockets, even though I impact chrome sockets and usually don't have a problem. But here's our 1/2 inch impact set. You can see too, very nice packaging, guys. Not gonna lie. Up next, we got our closed end and open end wrenches. This for sure is a necessity. A lot of the times there's going to be close quarter bolts where you don't have room to stick the ratchet and the socket into where you're trying to reach. And these wrenches will just do the trick. So this is the Icon 10 through 19 millimeter set, and this is also the gear wrench set. I was going to buy just the regular standard closed end and open end, but half the time I'm using wrenches, I end up using the gear wrench side because it's a lot easier. You can start ratcheting it. See if I can get some ratchet action for you. Pretty fine sounding, pretty fine and dandy. Look at that. These also have the lefty loosey, righty tighty switch. So you can just switch it like that. For sure, a necessity. And I tell you, it is hot as hell in here without the AC, guys. Alright, so next up we have our 1/2 inch drive breaker bar. This is a 25 incher breaker bar. This is going to be for any time you have bolts that are just really freaking stuck on there. What's nice about these two, if this is a quality breaker bar, you can even add a pipe on the outside of it just to get that extra leverage. But this, I would say, is pretty useful anytime, like say you're doing axle nuts or you have like a lug nut that's just stuck on there. This will save your ass. So this thing looks pretty nice too. It's got a nice rubber grip. I really like the rubber grip. It's a lot easier on your hand and it just feels really nice. It's got the 180 pivot. Here's the little packaging. Pretty nice. And don't forget too, these Icon are all lifetime warranty, just like pretty much the rest of Harbor Freight and Craftsman. So definitely another reason to give Icon a check out. Alright, so we're going to take a little break from the Icon just to go over the next very important tool I think you should have. 3/8 extensions. For sure you will be using this all the time because half the time you're not going to be able to get the socket on where you want to get it. These are the Pittsburgh Harbor Freight cheapy brand. They're black. Impact. I know they look really cheap, but I've had this same set like ever since I started at Toyota, which was like 7-8 years ago now, and I'm still using this same black 3/8 extension. So that's just something to think about. These ones are really freaking legit, so that's why I bought these. Plus it's nice too to have the different sizes because once again, different jobs call for different tools. So with this and your short and your deeps, you should be able to get to most bolts, regardless of where they're at. To go along with those extensions, I purchased the 1/2" and 3/8 swivel adapter. So what this allows you to do is put your 1/2" extension or ratchet into one of these, and then also put a 1/2" socket on the other side. So they make wobble sockets, but for the longest time I just used these wobble extensions and the shallow socket, and it was basically a wobble socket. So I used that for a very long time. It wasn't until I left Toyota and I actually bought a wobble set, but like I said, for the longest time I just used these wobble sockets so I could turn any socket into a wobble set. So next up we have our 1/2" torque wrench. Again, I'm going in no particular order. I'm kind of just going on what I pick up and what catches my eyes. So this is the Icon 1/2" torque wrench, which ranges from 50 to 250 foot-pounds of torque. That's pretty much standard and plenty of range for what you're going to be using this for. I would say more common than anything, you're going to be torquing wheel lug nuts, lug studs, lug bolts, whatever you want to call them. So this is definitely essential if you're going to be working professionally, like say at a dealership or an independent shop. You're going to want to be torquing a lot of things down. So really wish I could just open these boxes and check them out though. Alright, so next up we have our 1/2" impact air gun. This is for sure a necessity because if you're working at a dealership, on the lube rack, any job at the dealership, you're going to be taking off wheels and you're not going to want to sit there all day turning a hand wrench to take off all the lug nuts. So impact wrench, impact gun, people call them different things, definitely a necessity. This is the Earthquake XT EQ12 XT. Claims to have 1190 foot-pounds of breakaway torque, and that's plenty for lug nuts. Unless somebody like hulked on that bolt or nut, you shouldn't have a problem getting them off. I've actually not used this impact wrench, but I have seen probably one guy at a dealership who used this, and he seemed to be having no problems. And again, it's lifetime warranty, I believe, so if something happens, you could always take it back. But this design looks very similar to the Ingersoll brand, so I'm wondering if that's what they were trying to copy there. But definitely an essential. Also too, when I say essential, I'm kind of referring to working on the job site at a dealership, because I didn't have a 1/2" impact at my house forever, probably up until now, since I never had an air compressor. But if you're working in a shop, you're going to want to have some air tools. Next up, we got this flashlight. This is kind of a wand. It's magnetic, so that's pretty cool. It's also got 3 settings, so it's got the full on, whoa, it's got the dim, and it's got the upper little wee light. So I've seen a couple people using these. I actually really wanted to buy one for myself for the longest time, because flashlights can get really expensive when you're buying Snap-on, Mac, Cornwell, whatever the hell. They get really expensive. This one was only 40 bucks, so that's a really good deal for a flashlight this bright. 390 lumens, and it's rechargeable. I'll go ahead and show you this comparison with my Snap-on since I brought it home so you can see the differences. Very hard to tell from the camera, but I'm gonna give this one the thumbs up on that. Sorry, Snap-on. Next up, we got some handy dandy pocket tools and a PSI inflator gauge. I'm gonna lay these here. For sure, you're gonna wanna have a PSI gauge and an inflator because you need to set tire pressure in customer vehicles. That's actually the law now on any vehicle that comes in to the shop. You need to set tire pressure. So I bought this handy dandy one. It's got a dial reading. A lot of people now go with the digital ones. I have one of those at work, but I've used the dial ones before and they work just fine as long as you don't bang them up too much. So that's that. Right here we got some nice pocket tools. This is a pocket tire inflator gauge. This one's kind of nice because a lot of cars come in and they're already set at the PSI that they need to be at, so you don't even need to adjust them. So this one's nice because you can just run up and check them really quick. Telescopic magnet. Very useful. You are going to drop bolts and nuts all the time. Sometimes you can't fit your hand in where you need to pick them up. So magnets definitely save the day. Yeah. Telescopic mirror, very helpful as well. A lot of the times you can't see what the hell you're looking at. So these are really nice when you just want to peek around a corner. Pop out there, see what's cracking on the other side. Highly recommend a little telescopic mirror. Also helps to have the bigger one too for when you have more room and you're trying to look for something. So next we have up our screwdriver set. This is the Doyle brand. I'm really sad because I wanted to get the Icon set because their screwdriver set looked almost identical to the Snap-on set I have. So I wanted to compare them for you guys so I can show you guys that they were basically the same thing. But I wanted two different Harbor Freights. They did not have them in stock and I was not trying to wait for shipping, so I bought these. These look pretty fine and dandy. You have half flathead, half Phillips. That's pretty much what you're gonna need. More than likely, people are gonna use these as pry bars, so you really shouldn't care too much about them. And more than likely, you'll be using an electric tool, electric drill, maybe even with the drill bit. So these you'll kind of use every now and then. I find myself, the only time I really use handheld screwdrivers are when they're on plastic screw bolts, because you don't want to strip them with a gun. So something that I would not ball out on. Next tool set we got is our oil filter wrenches. For sure a necessity. Whether you're at home or the dealership, you are going to need these. I like this style if your vehicle can be removed. If your oil filter can be removed from the vehicle with this one's a lot easier. You just kind of wrap it around there and sometimes though it is in a very tight area and you really only have room to stick a cup or oil filter plier wrench set inside the vehicle. So this set comes in really nice. Kind of like a adjustable claw, and it'll fit most sizes. It says here from 2.5 inch to almost 4 inches. That's a pretty variety size. This one's nice. You just stick it on there and then you turn it with a 3/8 ratchet, and as you turn it, it tightens it and loosens the oil filter. Again, these are just for the screw-on cartridge type filters, such as this Fram filter. This style oil filter, if you get to some Toyotas, some BMWs as well, they have these style paper filters, and then you're going to need the specialized cup filter, but those they do not have at Harbor Freight. But for majority jobs, these will do the job just fine, especially because I'm just trying to go over basic entry-level tools. Next up, this one's kind of a quick one. I bought two of these, one to put on each side of the rack. They're magnetic tray parts holders. These are really nice because you're going to be doing a lot of tire rotations or even little jobs where you're going to have a bunch of little screws, and it's nice to just stick these on. Boom. Stick all your bolts on it, little nuts. That way you don't lose them. And also, if you have lug nuts, they go on here really nice and they don't roll off the rack and you're like trying to set them up like little chess pieces and stuff. So these come in really handy and they're just like a couple bucks. Next up, we have our Harbor Freight rubber mallet and 2.5 pound little hammer. I actually use these and I've had these forever. This is probably the one tool that anytime somebody buys Snap-on, I just look at them like, what the are you doing? Because it's just a hammer, all you're gonna be doing is hitting shit. So it makes no sense to me, honestly, to buy expensive ass hammers, especially a rubber mallet, because most of the stuff you're gonna be hitting is soft, so the chances of this breaking are very slim. But these are pretty much the two go-to hammers I ever use. This one, I will use it anytime possibly like the wheel is stuck, like rusted on or something. Just give it a good smack, pop it off. Of course, you could also stick a pry bar underneath there on the rim and the steering knuckle, break it loose. I found that works really well. But just a whole lot of jobs, this will just come in handy anytime you want to just give it like a little nudge. And then this little baby boy hammer comes in nice because it's pretty weighted. So say you're using like a punch, this will pop it in really nice, maybe punching in that CV axle nut. This is just the perfect size and weight. You don't really need anything too big and crazy in the automotive, like you're never really smacking on something that hard. So these hammers have done the trick for me just fine over the years. Next up, we got our pliers. I bought 4 different kind of style pliers, and these are the ones that I feel like I have commonly used the most. Start off here with the vice grips. These come in handy a lot. A lot of times cars have hood props, hydraulic shocks that don't work. So you go to open the hood, and then the hood just falls on your head. And that's happened to me a lot of times. So these are really nice. You can kind of just clamp them onto the hood shock. You never have to worry about them. They sell specialized hood shock clamps and they screw onto the little hydraulic shock, but those cost a lot more money than a simple pair of vice grips. And these could also be used for a number of other things. Dikes, not the ones you're thinking of, but diagonal cutters come in handy all the time. I used to actually use these a lot for stripping wires until I actually got a legit pair of wire strippers. But dikes will come in handy. It's just, there's just too many times where you're going to use these, and just getting a nice little set of dikes will do you just fine. I have the Mac version of dikes as well as a cheap orange Harbor Freight pair of dikes, which I think I have in here. These dikes. And both of them do the job anytime I'm going to cut something the exact same. So just again, another reason how the cheap Harbor Freight stuff at the end of the day does the job just fine. But I'll give it to the Doyle brand. It looks pretty legit. Pretty nice packaging here. Needle nose pliers, of course. Just your standard 8-inch pair will be plenty fine. Anytime you have hose clamps, you can get in there and get them off. I do also recommend the extended version of the needle nose pliers, which are going to look like this. They have these as well at Harbor Freight, but these I don't use too much. The only time I'll really use the long version is if like I can't reach something and like I really need to just get in there. But for the most time, like I said, 90% of the time, standard needle nose pliers will do, and it's really not much to needle nose pliers, so these will do just fine. And adjustable pliers. Like I said, it's hard to kind of pinpoint a time exactly when you'll use these, but this is actually a pretty cool fast adjust type. So it can almost fit to like any size nut or whatever you're trying to grab. Sometimes something's stuck on there really tight, say even the bolt's stripped. I've had these fast adjust pliers pop them off really nice. Even if you're trying to compress, like say like a rear brake caliper, and those pistons are very small, so this fully extended could compress it in really nice and really quick. And also just really fun to play with. And not to mention the comparison for these pliers, which come in handy so much more than you'll realize, or you'll realize if you ever use them. But this pair of pliers was 20 bucks for this Doyle brand. If you go Nitpicks off the tool truck, that's a pretty popular brand. This size will probably run you about like 50 bucks, I'd say minimum, for basically the exact same plier. So yeah. So for the last of the Icon, we have our Hex socket set as well as our Torx socket set. This is probably something that's not essential. I mean, if you're working on German cars, they're essential, but I started off, I was never working on German cars, just Hondas, Nissans, Toyota, so I really never needed to use Hex or Allens. If I did, I just had like a cheap Harbor Freight Allen set because I never used them. But this set looks pretty nice. The Hex socket set is 3/8 drive, size 3 through 10 millimeter. That's pretty standard. It's like rarely that you're gonna need anything smaller than a 3 or bigger than a 10. And for the Torx bits, 3/8 as well. T27, very common. T30, very common. T40, T45, T47, T50, and T55 are not as used, but I would say I still use them every now and then, now working at BMW. But I thought this was a really nice set, and for the price, you couldn't beat it, as well as the Allen set. What's also a cool thing to notice about these sets is they're in a package, yes, right now, but inside you can see they're in their own little plastic tray. So that's really nice because that means you don't have to buy socket organizers, socket trays and stuff like that, because you can really just set them all in your toolbox. And I personally like that because it keeps them spaced out and you remember where they are and you just makes your life a little bit easier. And also looks really nice when you open the toolbox. Icon, baby. And last but not least, we have our Bauer 20 volt lithium battery impact. This is a very useful tool. This is probably my favorite tool to date that I use frequently on the regular. This one is not like standard, like you would see like the 3/8 drive sticking off it, so that way you could just shove a 3/8 socket right on it, which is very nice. But this one is the 1/4 inch hex compact, so that means you can basically shove any of these hex sockets, which I also got Bauer, into them. So if you want to run 1/4 inch, you can shove that bit in there. You can run 1/2 inch and 3/8. So that's really nice. Like say you break a nut loose and it's a 1/2 inch, you can just zap it off with this and it'll work just fine. Can't really say enough about these handheld electric impacts. They're just so useful. The days of turning a nut or bolt out by hand are far gone. Almost everybody is using electric tools, even air tools now, just to get the job done faster. And these electric impacts are really a game changer and totally speed up the process. For sure, I'm using an electric impact every single day at work. This is the Bauer though, however, I have not tried it out. I am very curious to see how it is, but testing it out at Harbor Freight, it really felt like my DeWalt version, like the exact same weight, the settings felt the same, the power felt like it, so I can't really give you a full review, but this gun is a lot cheaper than say DeWalt, Snap-on, of course the big brands. But I just to let you guys know, I have been using a DeWalt for the past 9 years, the same DeWalt 3/8 impact gun, and have never had a problem with it. I'll go ahead and show you guys that. That is this bad boy. I've had this guy. This was the very first electric impact I got, and it changed my life. This is the same gun that I took apart my 240 with. Same gun I used at Toyota on the lube rack as a tech until I upgraded to a Milwaukee 3/8 impact, which so far has been killing it. But this one is perfect to just have at home. Interchangeable batteries. I can use this on my different DeWalt tools since I have a lot of DeWalt at home. But honestly, this gun felt very similar to this. So maybe one of these days I'll pick one of these up for myself and give it a try. Can't stress enough though, 3/8 impact, game changer. Must have. Last but not least, what you're going to want to have is a very fat cat. Woo! Alright, hope you guys enjoyed that video. That was kind of cool to try like a different camera angle. Please let me know if you guys like that better or you'd rather have me just sit in front of the toolbox, but I felt like that was a little bit better angle so you guys can actually see the tools themselves, kind of get like a close-up view at them. And again, this video is all about tools that I recommend when starting off, when you kind of don't know what to buy, because of course as you learn more and more, work on more cars, you're gonna figure out, okay, I need this, I don't need this, I need this, I need a good version of this, I don't need this. And that's just kind of how it goes. But I just recall being in college at Citrus College, and like they threw that Snap-on discount at our face, and I was like, oh my god, like these tools, I'm getting them for such a good deal. And like I was buying like, what did I buy? I bought I didn't buy the starter sets, but I just bought a lot of sets of stuff that I thought I was gonna need. And come to find out later down the road, I was like, dude, like, I don't use this. I never need this. I only need one of these. But yeah, guys, that's $1,000 worth of tools. And in comparison, if you were to buy all these tools, top brand price, for sure you're gonna be paying at least 3 to 4 grand. This torque wrench is like $100. And it's gonna do the job just fine as your $500 torque wrench to tighten lug nuts. So just something to think about, how much you're willing to spend. Anyways, if you've made it this far to the video, you're awesome. You're a real supporter. I really appreciate making these videos for you guys. Like I said, there was a big announcement. I didn't buy any of these tools for me. Not one of these nice tools that I really want to keep am I going to keep. I talked about doing a raffle previously of starter tools and nice tools for you guys. And all of these tools are actually going in the raffle for you guys. That's right. So since you guys are from the YouTube, if you're entering, I'm giving you a head start. I'm going to post this video almost a day before I actually post the post on my Instagram. If you want to enter into the raffle. So how it's basically going to go down is 60 slots is what I'm going to do, and $20 a slot. 60 slots, $20 a slot. That gives 60 people the opportunity to win more than $1,000 worth of tools, because I'm going to have to ship all these tools, which is going to be heavy as shit, to whoever wins. So we'll be doing 60 entries, $20 an entry. There's no limit on how many entries you want to enter. If you want to throw in like $40 so you have two spots on the raffle list, by all means, you're more than welcome to. If you want to go in maybe with a friend, like you each put in $10, you guys can both win all these tools. It'll be for one person, but you guys can both split it and do however you want. If you want to enter, just message me on Instagram at Nick Nakai and let me know which number out of 1 through 60 you want, and then I'll go ahead and reply with my PayPal email. Please just send the $20 or however much entries you are sending as a gift, so that way I don't get taxed on it, so I can pay for all these tools. And I'll go ahead and put you down on the list. Air freshener. I'll be updating that list on my Instagram post every time somebody enters. As soon as the entries all fill up, which I feel like should be pretty quickly considering the amount of people who said they were down for it, I'll go ahead and get the drawings ready, get everything ready to ship, and go live stream. I'll let you guys know when I'm going to go live so you guys can watch me pick the winner. I'm gonna go to a Google search, random number spin wheel, so you guys can see it's all legit. I'm gonna put 1 through 60 in there, shuffle it up, and spin it. So you guys can see whoever wins, wins. It's all legit. I don't want anyone thinking it's rigged, like, oh, I'm not gonna enter because he's gonna pick this guy. No, we're doing whoever wins, they win. So let me know if you guys want to enter. It's probably gonna fill up fast because there's a lot of stuff up for grabs. And yeah, pretty excited, guys. Pretty excited. Hopefully whoever wins it could really use the tools. So yeah, guys, hopefully I was pretty thorough on that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment or message me on Instagram. I'll try to get back to you as fast as I can. Let's get started with this raffle. Once again, thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of this video, since I kind of did it a little bit different. Things you liked, things that maybe you would like to change, whatever, feel free. I love it when you guys chime in. I read all my comments every time, whenever I have time. So that's it for this episode, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Good luck to the entries, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace!